Hi guys, and thanks for joining me. This video is on the full moon in Leo that happens on the 28th of January 2021 at precisely 16 minutes past 7 in the evening, and that's based on UK time. Thank you for joining me. It is really nice to be with you today. I'm going to give you a rundown of this chart that you can see next to me. I'm going to have a look at what energy the planets are creating amongst themselves and how that's going to influence you here on the 28th. I want to say, by the way, that the full moon is not something that I see as this specific event at a specific minute. It's something that gradually builds and then wanes off. Okay, so the moon is waxing at the moment, so I feel that it's building up to this full moon in Leo stage. So you'll start to notice this energy on the 27th, and it builds. On the 28th, you really feel it, and the moon is still pretty full on the 29th, so you'll still be aware of it then. And I'm going to have a look at exactly what that is. The first thing that my eyes are being drawn to is the rising sign in Virgo at 6 degrees. The rising sign, or the ascendant, is the sign of the zodiac that's coming up over the horizon at the moment this chart is made. So this is a snapshot of the sky at the moment this full moon occurs at 16 minutes past 7, and Virgo is just sitting on the horizon. Now that, I feel, gives you an easy access to everything Virgo, and therefore the ability to analyze things very well, to make sense of information that comes your way, and then to use it in a practical manner that really supports you and helps you to progress. So we've got the sun in Aquarius. There's a lot of energy floating around, a lot of information, a lot of activism, a lot of conversations, a lot of thoughts about the future and how things can change. So there's a lot going on. Pay attention to that. There are lots of little gems, little nuggets of gold in this information that you come across today. So if you pay attention to that, you'll be able to create opportunities for yourself by using your own expertise, your own perspective on things, the way you specifically make meaning from information that comes your way. You know, if you're someone who's expert in research and you hear something wonderful about the field of research and something new that's been discovered, then you'll be able to do something with that in a way that a layman wouldn't be able to, because you have specific knowledge. So this chart is telling me that you have specific knowledge and specific experience that, when applied to the information that comes your way on this day, the 28th of January, you'll really be able to do something meaningful and practical with that information. Okay, so the sun and the moon are 180 degrees away from each other. That's normal. That happens during every full moon. The moon is fully lit up and it releases its energy. It gets to that point in its monthly cycle where it gets to the zenith, it gets to the top of the mountain, and it's worked its way up towards this, and it has this amazing sense of release. So that's why we feel the full moon really strongly when it occurs, because the energy is just really intense and profound. So this is at 9 degrees in Leo. 9 in numerology is spirituality and completion, and I would associate that with the 12th house in astrology, which traditionally is ruled by Pisces, and it has to do with your sense of spirituality, or your connection with the self, with your true self, your higher self, and also spiritual strength. So if you're in a good place spiritually, then problems, which at other times have seemed really difficult, become really easy to deal with, because you're strong, you have loads of energy, you've got an abundance of time, you're able to deal with things really, really well. And the moon is what gives you a sense of ease and comfort. It's really that inner sense of home and the kind of internal landscape that you've got in the middle of the night when you wake up for a moment and you kind of have a word with yourself with your head on the pillow. It's that quiet relationship that you've got with yourself that really dictates how you're feeling or how you come across in the world. So with the moon being at 9 degrees, there's this amazing connection with the self, and there's a sense of togetherness. There's no blockage or a sense of being detached from yourself. You're right there. You're totally in touch with yourself. You know what's going on, and the dialogue between you and your higher self is really strong, and you know exactly what it is you want and need and feel. Now, the moon is also in Leo, and Leo is ruled by the sun. So it's able to express its light and its joy in a public way, when the sun is in Leo. When the moon is in Leo, it's really having that joy and that celebration on the inside. I have myself, I'm confident, I'm healthy, regardless of what's going on in my life. It won't be permanent. I'll be able to do something about it. I'll be able to play with it and change it. And that really is this huge sense of freedom, because you know that anything that comes your way has no chance against you. Whereas, let's say you're not feeling so spiritually great. You have, I don't know, let's say you've just come out of a detox and you've had some negative things happen in your life, and you don't feel great and you're having problems sleeping, and then something else comes along, it's going to completely overwhelm you, because it's like, oh, what's next? You know, one more thing. I'm already not coping. How am I going to cope with this? This full moon in Leo is really the opposite of that, because you have this sense of inner joy. It's like the Four of Wands in the tarot. It's a celebration. It means that having a good time in the now is all that you need to do to ensure you have a positive future. And this full moon in Leo gives you that belief. If I live my life to the best way I can, then I'll have positive experiences. I'll be able to grow in directions that I want to grow into. And it's really a sense of childlike innocence and belief in the goodness of life and in you, and that you're here for a reason. You're not just here to suffer. You're here to learn and to enjoy yourself and to love and to have an amazing experience. And this full moon really gives that back to you. This conscious awareness that it's really your job to make the most of your life and to have a good time. The sun at 9 degrees in Aquarius also gives you this connection to something bigger, to source, that's fully aligned with who you are. So the sun, the two luminaries, they really represent your identity from a dualistic point of view. So the sun is your conscious awareness, and the moon is the unconscious, and it's what you feel. And they're totally aligned at this amazing number 9, which is like the hermit in the tarot, and that has to do with making the light bigger and understanding and trying to get in touch with yourself. So we've got a full moon, not that hard to get in touch with because it's right there in the sky, shining down on you, so you can see that very easily. And the sun in Aquarius allows you to think and communicate very clearly. So you've really got your finger on the pulse. There's no mystery here. It's not hidden from you. Yourself is alive and well and kicking, and the sun in Aquarius gives you a focus on in what a good position you're actually in. So you have this amazing gratitude for the great spot you're in your life, and that gives you the time and space to see your place in the world, not just as this singular unit, but as someone who interacts with other people and who interacts spiritually. And it gives you the power back to see how your energy, when used in specific ways, can have a really important impact on the world that you live in, and that you're not this powerless kind of lost little being floating around somewhere. You are in the right place at the right time. You've got your energy for a reason, and if you do something with that, it's going to have an impact on society, on the way we think, on the way we interact with one another and communicate. So the sun in Aquarius, it gives you a strong connection with and a strong focus on other people and society and the rules of society. So it's like, you know, the difference between sex and gender. Sex is what you're born with, and gender is kind of what you identify with, like on an intellectual level. So yes, you are a human being, but you don't just see yourself as a human being, you also see yourself as a humanitarian who, when taking certain actions, those actions will have consequences, and you're very aware of your power in that arena, and you'll really want to use that power for good. So to affect positive change, to look at legislation that may protect vulnerable people, to innovate new ideas in technology or mathematics, and to make sense of the world and to try and understand it in a scientific way, in a way that's really provable and that other people can refer to, and they can use those same rules and equations to make sense of their lives. So that's really interesting, because you're in your own element, you're positive and loving life, But then with the Virgo rising, you're really able to make sense of complicated info. And the sun in Aquarius then says, immediately use that info in a way that will help lots of people, the greater good. So if you do have something on your mind where you feel, do you know what, I do care about this issue, I want to do something with it, I'm going to wait until I feel good, and then I'm going to go out and affect change and bang on a drum, then today is really the day to do it. Because anything is going to have someone begin. I mean, that's no great insight, but you know, any journey starts with the first step, and any new invention starts with one scientist or one futurist, inventor, humanitarian, looking at that specific info, working with it and saying, I can create something here. And that's when other people become involved, and that's when it can grow. So you've got everything required to really make an amazing intellectual contribution here. We've also got Jupiter sitting right on top of the sun. Jupiter is the lucky planet. It's also at 9 degrees in Aquarius. So it's not just your intellect and your experience informing you and helping you to articulate things clearly, but it's also your higher self and that effortless connection that you've got, really giving you an intuitive sense of, if you do this, if you take these actions, these are going to be the consequences. So you're kind of like your own fortune teller in a way, that you have this intuitive sense of what certain actions are going to create for you, what the outcome is going to be, and what's likely to be positive. So use that sense and trust it. It will not be logical or measurable or reasonable, but you have an intuitive awareness of what's going to have a good outcome and what isn't. So that's really magic. That's a wonderful unseen kind of gift that you're being given on the day, that you can kind of play the tape forward and peek a little bit and check what's coming up for you. Then we've also got Saturn at 4 degrees in Aquarius. Saturn is the structure of your life and the rules and the institutions you belong to and things that you want to keep safe and secure. And at 4 degrees, it's about structure and security. So Saturn is very happy at 4 degrees. In Aquarius, it's about wiping the slate clean and saying, these are the rules that we've had, and now we're different people, we're a different generation, this is a new age we're living in. What are the rules going to be for the future? So this full moon, we'll see a lot of people transitioning from this role of passenger on the train of life to actually being the conductor and saying, this is now where we're going and this is the direction we're going in. So the thinkers and the creative types and the scientists and the visionaries are really being highlighted here during this full moon in Leo. The positive energy needed is provided, because if you're crippled with self-doubt or you can't get out of bed, you're not going to invent very much. So the universe is kind of giving everyone a leg up here, saying here's some positive feelings and some confidence and some self-belief and some fuel that you can use to really do something independently. Do something with it, and it's really going to spark a conversation. It's going to create a dialogue between you and other people, between you and the world. And it's something that we need. That's why, in my experience, the universe doesn't just give energy for the sake of it. It's not like an ATM machine. It recognizes a need, and then it puts the energy out so certain people can tap into that, use it, and then run with it. So there will be a lot of people who have these amazing ideas and who then do something with those ideas, and they're going to benefit others, but also it will secure their own lives by giving them something to do, something to work towards. It will either become, you know, a new theory or way of looking at science, or it's a new business, and you then get a financial reward from that business, which then secures you in your financial situation. So this can really go in lots of different ways in how many people it benefits. Make sure you pay attention and you see what information you come across and do something with it. It's really going to help. Now, also we've got, because Jupiter's at 9 degrees and Saturn's at 4 degrees, we've still got the Great Conjunction happening. And that only happens once every 20 years. And I made a video on that before Christmas last year, called the Great Conjunction in the Age of Aquarius, because a lot of people conflate the two, so I just wanted to differentiate between the two. And I go into a lot of detail there, but the Great Conjunction is really about reevaluating the structures that we've got in place and really replacing them with ones that work more effectively. And they kind of flank the sun here in this chart. So we've got the Great Conjunction, all this potential change and all this upheaval, and you right in the middle of it. So you're not just a bystander watching everyone else do things. You're in the middle of the action. You have access to this as much as anybody else, and you can really sink your teeth into something that fires your imagination and gets you to think, and to think clearly and originally about certain issues. And by engaging with that, you can be the agent for change that we're looking for, or that the universe is looking for here. Because it won't be like 8 billion people picking up on this idea saying, okay, let me invent the new light bulb today. It'll be 50 people who are tuned into this and who really get these amazing new ideas and then do something about it. But it's one, I think it's being aware of the potential for the energy so you can kind of tap into it. But with good luck like this, a lot of it is also just being in a place where you can tap in to positive feelings about yourself and to then be creative. And I think that if you're watching this, you're already halfway there. So it's very likely that you're going to have this life-changing, amazing insight that you can use not to just change your own life, but other people's as well. So Venus and Pluto aren't conjunct to Saturn, the Sun, and Jupiter. They're in Capricorn and they're a little bit further away, but they are in the same area of the chart. So Venus in Capricorn really allows you to get busy and practical and to do things in an actual real life way. And Pluto is about night and day. It's about new life, it's about transformation, it's the phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay, so all these ideas are meant to be used. They're not just meant to be contemplated and floating around up in the sky. You're supposed to do something with it, and that's really the crux of this blessing, which is the full moon, because it really gives you an opportunity to become a scientist, your own kind of inventor. And with the Virgo rising, it's the practical application of that that's really going to help, and that's going to be super easy for you this time around. So that's the way the planets sit next to the sun here. Let's see what aspect patterns the moon forms with some of the other planets here in the chart. So first of all, if you look at the chart and if you kind of zoom out a little bit, you'll see a big red triangle, okay? It's two squares and an opposition creating this T-square, and a T-square is friction that just goes round and round and round. It's never resolved. So first of all, the sun and the moon oppose each other, so it's this sense of personal energy and drive and optimism, and then channeling that into something you can articulate, and channeling it into information that can be shared and that you can use and interact with. That's an ongoing kind of unresolved spectrum that you're on. So positivity and doing things for myself, and energy coming through that and within that, and then actually connecting with energy that makes you feel good. So it's a chicken and the egg. It'll come in both ways. But then we've got the two squares connecting that opposition with Uranus and Mars in Taurus. Now Uranus is the planet of the miraculous and the unexpected. At 6 degrees in Taurus, using this info in a practical way is going to have miraculous outcomes that you could not foresee, or that really you do get a glimpse ahead whether something's going to be positive or negative. But if something is positive, you have no idea into how many different areas that can continue on into, if that's English. So an opportunity, even though you're not given all the details like a 5-year plan, you'll have a sense of, hey, this feels good, I think there's something to this is going to work. And then when you connect with that and do something about it, Uranus ensures that the impact is just much more, it reaches much further than you could have anticipated. And this success is going to lead you into lots of different areas that you couldn't have foreseen because they don't exist yet. And then Mars at 10 degrees in Taurus, that's interesting because it throws a spanner in the works a little bit, because Mars in Taurus is very bossy. It's kind of like, well, I like my sandwiches with the edges, with the crust cut off, okay? I just That's what I like, and that's what I want. So that energy really doesn't work with this altruistic, like brotherhood of man kind of vibe. It's much more about I want my way. So make sure that you meet your own personal needs, okay? So that if you do, your inner child says, I want to go and play for an hour, or I want to take a walk, or I want to eat a nice meal, that you allow yourself that. Because if you don't, and you deny yourself your own needs, you're going to have that niggling voice of Mars saying, I want, I want, I want. And once you meet those needs, it's not going to keep torturing you, because it's in Taurus, it's a physical thing that you can actually satisfy. Then you'll have that peace of mind required to look at bigger and better things, and to think about things other than yourself. And you can include yourself, but it expands onto other people and where you live and how you live. It's not just my nap time and my meal. No. So that's ongoing friction there between those luminaries and planets. Yeah, 2 luminaries and a personal planet and an outer planet. And it gives you the drive and the stamina and the kind of dogged determination to continue moving ahead, but just make sure that you're not working against yourself by denying yourself things that you want or like. Obviously, non-harmful things, you know. So give yourself a break in that regard and get yourself on side. Then the moon forms a trine with Chiron at 5 degrees in Aries. Chiron's the wounded healer, and in Aries there's a little bit of a sense that I need to make this right. I need to make up for bad things from the past by innovating this amazing new idea. That's really problematic, because that puts an expectation in place that says, I have to do something with this great idea because I stole some money when I was 5 years old and I still feel guilty and I need to make up for it. That's going to derail the whole process, and that's what Chiron's trying to do there. It's trying to fill your head with this notion that you're not good enough and that you need to compensate by doing something fabulous or saintly so that you can matter again and that you can feel good about yourself. And that's not right, because you don't need to lift another finger for your whole life to be amazing and worthy and good enough. You already are good enough. You were born good enough. You will stay good enough. And what Chiron's trying to do there is trying to put so much pressure on you that you end up doing nothing. Because let's say if I did do something I'm ashamed of at 15 and I feel horrible about it, then anything good that I do has to be that much better than other people's achievements, because I have to make up for this horrible flaw. And most people, the further that spectrum goes, the further the discrepancy is, and the more pressure there is, the more difficult it becomes to do anything. Because if you approach any situation with the notion that I have to not only get an A+ here, but I have to get an A**, triple plus if I'm going to matter, then that's going to put you off, and you're going to be like, well, what are the odds? I'm not going to get that, so I'm not even going to try. And that's what Chiron's trying to do here. It's trying to get you to focus on the past, on your flaws, on things that haven't gone right, and it's trying to suck your joy out of the present moment. I can't go to the beach and enjoy myself because I did this horrible thing when I was 15 and I have to suffer. No, you don't. And that kind of motivation doesn't motivate, it does the opposite, it sabotages you. So only do something if it makes you feel alive and positive, and you're not doing it because you're making up for some perceived shortcoming or failure, okay? And if that is the case, then just have a word with yourself and say, well, actually, I was 5 years old and I didn't know the rules, so, you know, give me a break. Or, what do you want me to do about it? I feel guilty, but it happened when I was 15 and I can't go back in time. The only thing I can do is change my behavior now. So thanks for sharing, but bye-bye. Don't take up my whole day here, thank you. Then we've got the moon forming a quincunx with the part of fortune at 6 degrees in Pisces. And it's the spiritual strength that's really the luck factor, because everything is surmountable. Nothing is out of your reach. So feeling good is super important, and therefore meeting your own needs so that you can be productive and effective in a real world setting is all coming together perfectly. And you know, there's so many different aspects to being a human being that it's usually difficult to get all the different parts aligned and working as one unit so that person can be effective. But today everything clicks into place. Today everything just works. So you really have a sense of self like you rarely have. It's a really good time to be you and to understand who you are and to have fun with you and to accept yourself. Then we've got the opposition with the sun, and then that is it. So the moon is forming relationships with planets that are all in other relationships, and the moon is sitting all by itself there on the other side of the chart. You can see it's all on its own. So it may feel like there is a lot going on that's out of your control, but don't feel like you have to control everything to make a contribution. You don't. All you need to do is enjoy yourself and to have a good time, and then information will come to you effortlessly. You don't need to control that. It comes to you. It finds you, not the other way around. And all you need to do is pay attention to what you're given. So you don't have to get and grab and compete. You just have to, well, you don't have to do anything, but the easiest way forward is to listen to the information that you become aware of on this day, do something with that information, and it's going to really have effects which you couldn't have predicted. They're going to be really unexpected positive things that secure your future. And that is it. Let me just check if I've missed something here. We've got a yod in the chart. A yod is known as the finger of God. It's 2 quincunxes and a sextile, and it connects Chiron in Aries with the Sun and Jupiter in Aquarius and the Virgo rising. Okay, so the big talent and this ability for seeing the bigger picture and teaching and working with information really well combines and joins with the Virgo rising. Your ability to be practical with information is ideal, and it's the other way around, but the same difference really. So focus on the information and the future, and then doing something with that is going to heal yourself and is going to give you much more freedom. But you can only approach that from a reasonable, logical level of, I'm having a good time and this is something that I've heard, it interests me, so I'm going to pursue it. That will lead to something that's unexpectedly healing. If you approach it from the sense of, there's something wrong with me, I need to listen out for opportunities to redeem myself today, then that's not going to work. Then you've fed into the ego and you miss the opportunity because you're too stuck in your feelings. So positive feelings will liberate you and allow you to think clearly about yourself, and then to expand that perspective onto other things and onto the planet. And that's the real talent, that you can heal yourself through altruism, through being of service to other people. It has an unexpected side effect, and that is that you heal yourself. Anything else? No, that's it. So that's it. Oh, there are 2 more quincunxes, okay? One connects the moon to the pole of fortune, and then we've got the Virgo rising, and that quincunxes the sun in Jupiter. And those 2 quincunxes form like train tracks almost. It's a sense that you're on a parallel. There are 2 things running at the same time. And I think those are your 2 possible options, to either be sucked into a lack of self-belief and missing this great opportunity, but that's really unlikely. You've got to really be in a bad place to get sucked into negativity or self-doubt. But if you do, you miss the opportunities for change. And if you do stay positive and you're able to meet your own needs as well as to give yourself freedom to enjoy, then you're on the other track, and that's really positive, and that opens things up. So it's all or nothing in a way, and it's so interesting because it will seem easy. Just be happy and everything will grow. Okay, well, I have depression, so I can't be happy. What am I supposed to do now? I'm depressed, so everything's just going to get worse. No, what is important, regardless of where you are with your mental health or how you're feeling about yourself, it's important to just allow and to build into your day on a daily basis here, 27th, 28th, 29th, things that satisfy you and that you enjoy. So if you like to swim, then go for a swim. If you like to have 2 eggs in the morning, then boil yourself some eggs. That's all that's needed. You kind of exercising positive, good self-care that will meet your needs, that will generate positive feelings, and you can expand those and build on those. So even if you are in a difficult spot, you can have a few good days here which allow you to make the most of this. But if you neglect yourself and if you ignore your physical needs, then that becomes more difficult. So just make sure that you're there for yourself. So that's what I get for you for this full moon in Leo on the 28th. I hope that gives you an idea of what you'll be working with. If you'd like a personal reading with me, please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. On the front page, click on book your reading to order your reading with me. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. Please hit subscribe and share the video online. And something's bothering me. I just want to have another little check. Oh yeah, the isolation of the moon. The isolation of the moon at 9 degrees in Leo. It's really so nice. It's like a flame in the dark all by itself. And that's what you are. You provide hope for other people. It may not always feel comfortable, but you have the ability to really please yourself on this day and to make yourself happy. And that will make your flame and your light bigger. And that can really inspire people for miles and hundreds of miles. So you're really the light. You're the hope for everybody else. So really do something about that, because it'll transform your life and other people's, and that's amazing. So have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon.